Hello, in this video, I'm going to read chapters 1 through 4 of Jennifer Bassett's William Shakespeare from the Oxford Bookworms Library series. First, the introduction. William Shakespeare. Stratford-upon-Avon, 1578. A boy is sitting at a school desk. He listens to the teacher, reads his books, learns his lessons. What is he thinking about? London, 1587. A young man is riding into London for the first time. He listens to the noise of the crowded streets, sees the great walls of the Tower of London, looks down at the waters of the River Thames. Sweet Thames, run softly till I end my song. London, 1601. The boatmen on the River Thames are shouting to the crowds, "Hurry, hurry, hurry." The Globe Theatre is filling fast. 2,000 people are crossing the river to see the latest play, Hamlet, by William Shakespeare. This story about Shakespeare's life is told by his friend Toby. Toby is not a real person. Perhaps Shakespeare had a friend like that, but we don't know. But all the other characters in this story were real people who knew Will Shakespeare as a friend, actor, poet, and playwright. Gentle Shakespeare, they called him. And they knew he was the greatest poet in England. His friend Ben Jonson wrote of him, "He was not of an age, but for all time." Chapter 1, Toby Remembers. My name is Toby. I'm an old man, 83 this spring. My house is right in the middle of Stratford-upon-Avon, and I can watch the street market from my window. But I live very quietly now. I'm just an old man, sitting in a chair. I once knew the greatest man in England. For 30 years I was his friend. I worked with him in the theater through the good times and the bad times. He was a good friend to me. He was also the best playwright, the best poet that ever lived in England. Will Shakespeare was his name. I saw all his plays in the theater. People loved them. They shouted, laughed, and cried, ate oranges, and called for more. All kinds of people, kings, queens, princes, great lords and ladies, poor people, the boys who held the horses, everyone. Will Shakespeare could please them all. He put me in a play once. Well, he used my name, Toby. 'Twelfth Night was the play, I remember. Sir Toby Belch. He was a big fat man who liked drinking too much and having a good time. Queen Elizabeth I watched that play on 12th night, the 6th of January, 1601. She liked it too. Will's dead now, of course. He'd been dead more than 30 years. And no one sees his plays now. The Puritans have closed all the theaters. There's no singing, no dancing, no plays. It wasn't like that in my young days. We had a good time in London, Will and I. I've no teeth now, and my hair has all fallen out. But I can still think and remember. I remember when Will and I were young, just boys, really. Chapter 2, Stratford-upon-Avon. It was a sunny day in October 1579 when I first met Will. just outside Stratford, near a big field of apple trees. I saw a boy up in one of the trees. He had red hair and looked about 2 years older than me. "What are you doing up there?" I called. "Just getting a few apples," he said, smiling. "Those are Farmer Nash's apples," I said, "and he'll send his dogs after you if he sees you." "Mr. Nash has gone to market," the boy said. "Come on, they're good apples." The next minute I was up the tree with him. But Will was wrong. Farmer Nash wasn't at the market, and a few minutes later we saw his angry red face above the wall on the far side of the field. Will and I ran like the wind and only stopped when we reached the river. We sat down to eat our apples. Will was 15 and lived in Henley Street. He told me his father was John Shakespeare, and he had a sister, Joan, and 2 younger brothers, Gilbert and Richard. There was another sister who died, I learnt later. And the next year, he had another brother, little Edmund, the baby of the family. "Now what about you?" he asked. "There's only me and my sister," I said. "My parents are dead, and we live with my mother's brother. He's a shoemaker in Ely Street, and I work for him. What do you do?" "I go to Mr. Jenkins' school in Church Street," Will said, "every day from 7 o'clock until 5 o'clock. Not on Sundays, of course." I was sorry for him. "Isn't it boring?" I asked. "Sometimes. Usually it's all right." He lay back and put his hands behind his head. "But we have to read and learn all these Latin writers. I want to read modern writers and English writers, like Geoffrey Chaucer." "Can you read?" he asked. "Of course I can read," I said. "I went to school." Will sat up and began to eat another apple. "I want to be a writer," he said. "A poet. I want that more than anything in the world." We were friends from that day until the day he died. We met nearly every day, and he taught me a lot about books and poetry and writers. He always had his nose in a book. When Will left school, he worked for his father in Henley Street. John Shakespeare was a glove maker, and he had other businesses too, like buying and selling sheep. But Will wasn't interested. "What are we going to do, Toby?" he said to me one day. "We can't spend all our lives making shoes and gloves." "Well," I said, "we could run away to sea and be sailors, sail around the world like Francis Drake." Drake sailed back to Plymouth in 1581 after his 3-year journey round the world. But we were still in Stratford. We made lots of plans, but nothing ever came of them. Will was still reading a lot, and he was already writing poems himself. He sometimes showed them to me, and I said they were very good. I didn't really know anything about poetry then, but he was my friend. Will was not happy with his writing. "I've got so much to learn, Toby," he said. "So much to learn." Poor Will. He had a lot to learn about women, too. One day in October 1582, he came to my house with a long face. "I'll never leave Stratford," he said. "Why not?" I asked. "We'll get away one day. You'll see." "Perhaps you will," he said, "but I'm going to be married in a few weeks' time to Anne Hathaway." My mouth fell open and stayed open. Married to Anne Hathaway? Is that the Hathaways over at Shawtree? "Yes," Will said. I was working on some shoes on the table, and Will picked one up and looked at it. "Well, she's a fine girl, of course," I said uncomfortably. But Will, she's 26, and you're only 18. "I know," Will said, "but I've got to marry her." Oh no, I said. You mean she's... That's right, said Will. In about 6 months' time, I'm going to be a father. Chapter 3. The Actors Come to Town. Will married Anne Hathaway in November, and she came to live in Henley Street. John Shakespeare was pleased that his eldest son was married, but I don't think Will's mother wanted him to marry so young. Families cost a lot of money, and John Shakespeare was having a lot of money troubles in those days. Times were hard in Henley Street. Susanna was born the next May. All babies looked the same to me, but Will was very pleased with her. Look, Toby, she's got my eyes, he said happily. She's going to be as beautiful as the Queen of Egypt and as clever as King Solomon. Oh, yes, I said. All parents talk like that about their children. I don't believe a word of it. I didn't see much of Will's wife. I knew she didn't like me. To her, I was one of Will's wild friends who got him into trouble. She came from a very serious Puritan family. Lots of church going and no singing or dancing. Soon there was another baby on the way, and one evening in February 1585, I hurried round the Henley Street to hear the news. Will's sister Joan opened the door, and then Will came running down the stairs. It's 2 of them, he said, twins, a girl and a boy. Isn't that wonderful? Will had some good friends, Hamnet and Judith Sadler, and he called the twins after them. John Shakespeare was very pleased to have his first grandson, and everyone was happy for a while. Will and I still went around together when we could. He was still reading and writing, and soon I could see a change in him. He was 23 now, and he was not happy with his life. Stratford's too small, Toby, he said. Too slow, too quiet, too boring. I've got to get away. Yes, but how, I asked. You've got a family. 3 young children, remember? He didn't answer. In the summer months, companies of players often came to small towns, and in 1587, 5 different companies came. Will and I always went to see the plays. Will loved to talk to the actors and to listen to all their stories of London. The Queen's Men came to Stratford in June, and we went to see the play. I don't remember what it was. I know that I laughed a lot, and that Will said it was a stupid play with not a word of poetry in it. Why don't you write a play yourself, I told him. Write a play, he laughed, and would never speak to me again. I didn't say anything, and Will looked at me and laughed again. It happened a few months later. I walked into the Shakespeare's kitchen one evening, and there was Anne with a red, angry face, shouting at the top of her voice. How can you do this to me? And what about the children? Then she saw me and stopped. Will was sitting at the table and looked pleased to see me. I've told Anne, he said quietly, that I'm going to live in London. I want to be an actor and to write plays if I can. Plays? Screamed Anne. Acting? Actors are dirty, wicked people. They're all thieves and criminals. They drink all day and they never go to church. Don't be stupid, Anne. You know that's not true. Listen, I'll come home when I can, but I must go to London. I can't do anything in Stratford. He looked at me across the room. Are you coming with me, Toby? How soon can we start? I said. Chapter 4, A New Life in London. It's 2 days' journey to London by horse, and Will talked all the way. His eyes were bright and excited. He was full of plans and poems and a love of life. I talked to one of the Queen's men, he told me. He said that he could find me work in the theater, acting perhaps, or helping to write some plays. I showed him some of my writing, and he was very interested. When we rode into London, I began to feel afraid. This was a big, big city, and we were just two unimportant young men from a small town. I'll never forget the noise and the smells and the crowds. There were 200,000 people living in this city of London. I never saw so many people before in my life. We went down to the River Thames and saw the famous London Bridge with all its shops and houses. Down the river was the Tower of London. Enemies of the Queen went into the tower through the river gate and mostly came out without their heads. We found a small inn in Eastcheap, not too expensive, and had some bread, meat, and beer for our supper. Well, we're here, Will said at last. I said, what do we do next? He laughed. Everything. The next day, we began to look for work. Those early years were wonderful. We didn't have much money, of course, and we had to work very hard. A new actor only got 6 shillings a week, and there wasn't work every week. I decided not to be an actor. Why not? Said Will. It's a great life. We were working that month for the Queen's Men at the theater called The Curtain up in Shoreditch. Will was acting 4 small parts in 2 different plays. He played a soldier and a murderer in one play, and in the other play he was a thief and also an Italian lord in love with the Queen of the Night. And he loved it. I'm not clever like you, I said. I can't remember all those words. I forget who I am. I say the soldier's words when I'm an Italian lord. I come on stage too late or too soon. I stand in all the wrong places. Will laughed. What are you going to do then? Costumes, I said, and properties. I had a talk with John Hemmings, and he said they need a new man to help with all the clothes and the other things. Yes, Will said slowly. You'll be good at that. Now, I've got a fight on stage tomorrow, and I have to die with lots of blood. How are you going to get me some blood? I've already got it, I smiled kindly at him. Sheep's blood. I got it down at Smithfield Market this morning. You can have as much blood as you want. I'm keeping it warm for you. Will was good at acting. Not the best, but good. An actor had to do everything. He had to learn his words, of course, perhaps for 6 different plays at the same time. No theater put on the same play every day. He had to dance and sing and play music. He had to jump and fall and fight, and the fights had to look real. The playgoers of London knew a real fight when they saw one. John Hemmings of the Queen's Men taught us both a lot. He was a good friend, then and for many years. I had a lot to learn, too. I learned how to make shoes out of brown paper, how to clean the actors' hats with a bit of bread. Then they looked like new again. I ran all over London to buy the best hair for the wigs. I learned how to make fish and fruit and a piece of meat out of wood and colored paper. Will was busy day and night. I don't know when he slept. He was acting in plays. He was writing his own plays. He was reading books. He was meeting other writers, making friends. He was learning. One day we were having a glass of beer with Richard Burbage at the Boar's Head in Eastcheap. Burbage was an actor with Lord Strange's Men. He was very friendly with Will. You've written 4 plays now, Will, he said. They're good. And you're getting better all the time. And I'm getting better as an actor all the time. Come and work with Lord Strange's Men at the Rose Theatre on Bankside. You can write for us. So we both went to the Rose. John Hemmings came with us, and Augustine Phillips. He was a good actor, too. We worked harder than ever at the Rose. Plays were always in the afternoon because of the daylight. We had rehearsals in the morning, and by lunchtime, people were already coming across the river to get their places for the play. and more people came. By 1592, London was hearing the name William Shakespeare again and again.